Well, here's what we're going to do today. We're going to jump right in. My name is Justin. You can call me Jay, and I got Tyler Towns with me, and we are going to jump right into like what you guys want to learn, right? Who here wants to learn how you can get a pay raise like the experts there in the marketplace without having to just apply 1,000 times until something finally sticks, right? Who wants to learn that? Just give me a yes in the chat if you can't my camera where I can't see you. Well, I know that that's what you guys are looking for, and so we're going to jump right into it. So I'm going to let uh, Tyler, why don't you, last time I did all the intros, why don't you tell us what this is all about, why we're here?
Well, thank you for everybody for joining Career Hacking Live. And really what we're trying to do is two things today. We're trying to, first and foremost, provide some value to you wherever you are in your career. If you are if you're working a job that you know is a dead end job, it's just not meeting what you need to do, and we'll go into depth about how to assess that a little bit later on. Or you are you just been let go for a job, or you quit a job, or you're just starting out. Whatever the transition happens to be at this time, we want to provide some value for how to think about best practices in moving forward to getting you to a spot that's really going to fit. And kind of the reason that we're doing this is having been a recruiter for, I don't know, 20 something years for some great companies like SpaceX and Verizon and Fox and a whole bunch of startups and a bunch of media companies, and out here in Texas at National Instruments and some others. You know, having seen the process, I know that it's a broken process. I know that the recruiter black hole is a real thing, and I know that frustration is high. And what I wanted to do is go from, you know, working for the man and hiring people in and saying no to 999, saying yes to the one for the job. I wanted to flip the script a little bit and get at some information to that 999 about how to differentiate yourself, how to get through that slog. What are some things that you can do to really get on a track that's going to be not only successful in getting the kind of interviews and job offers that you want, but also to more align it to what you really want to be doing rather than just what you can be doing. So that's kind of the origin, Justin, and hopefully today we're going to provide some value, and then we're going to give people some opportunities to maybe get a little help if they want to at the end. We're not going to pitch you, and we're not going to do any of that stuff during the thing. We're just going to try and provide value and insight into what we're doing today.
Yeah. So I think it'd be helpful because I know that we want to talk kind of about how this all works, but I'd love to know from Kevin and Greg and anybody else who might be watching us on
Not
our
Greg,
other
it's
channel.
Charo.
Oh,
It's
seriously.
Charo.
I'm looking right at the screen and it said Greg, but you're right. I need to make that change. But
Yeah,
I'd love
yeah.
to know, like, what are some challenges you guys are seeing out there? I imagine you guys are, if you're in here, you're looking for your next opportunity. What are some challenges you're facing out there in the marketplace as a job seeker or the person who's looking for the next step in their career? What are some challenges? Put them in the chat for me, or if you want, you can raise your hand. We'll let you unmute. This is a safe space where we can do all that. Give us some ideas. What are some challenges you're facing out there? Don't do it all at once.
Workday application sucks. Having to do it every time. I'm not going to apply to any companies that use it anymore.
Wow. You know, that's not the first time I've heard that, Kevin. And sometimes it's Workday. Sometimes it was the old Taleo, which is now Oracle hiring, I don't know, Oracle something platform. Yeah, no, hear you loud and clear.
Yeah, application processes are monotonous, right? They're not fun. ATS softwares, no personal review. Some bot is making all the decisions, right? That's another challenge, says Charo. I get it. So what do we do about that, Tyler? How does we've got a process that we've been using. We've been doing like amazing results in there. I would say jump right in. Like, how does that work?
You know, if we could just back up for just 1 second. You know, what we kind of looked at some of the challenges a little bit, but let's look at some of the benefits that if we get this right, what does that look like? Can we just look forward to the promised land real quick and just go, hey, you know, Kevin, when we get this right, Charo, when we get this right, thank you for correcting your name on there, so we won't call you Greg anymore. But what does getting it right look like? What does success in your career look like that maybe you don't have right now? So Kevin, paint it for us. I mean, when we're celebrating, what are we celebrating? You know, what does it look like?
Well, so I did recently start maybe about 3 months ago at a company. But
Congrats.
thanks. Unfortunately, they won't cover my domestic partner under my benefits, so I'm back looking again.
Oh man.
So I
What?
wish, yeah, I wish companies were a little bit more upfront about things like this. I didn't have to find out until after I got hired.
Hmm. Wow. Well, that's interesting. That seems kind of archaic.
That's actually a word I used when talking to my HR business partner about it. And unfortunately, the company I'm working for is a subsidiary of another company who actually administers the benefits now. So
Hmm.
the
Okay.
company policy had been one thing where it would have been covered me, but is no longer the case.
So for you, one of the benefits is super important, right? The health benefit is super important to you. What else? What else looks like an awesome job where you're like, man, this is great?
I work with people that aren't assholes.
Well, that's awesome. I can say that for the past 4 years, that's true for me. And having a partner like Justin has been amazing. It hasn't always been like that in my career. I've had those kinds of people as bosses. Anybody else? Yeah, coworkers,
I
direct
know.
reports.
Well, I know this, and I coming from a military background. And for those of you who don't know me, I came out of the United States Army back in 2013 and went into corporate America, and just realizing how much that not everybody has a uniform set of values in the way that they choose to do business or treat their employees or their teams and what they want to do. Like, listen, there's meaning in everything, and I don't look back on any of the opportunities I had with any ill will. But you can tell when you join an organization that doesn't believe in the same philosophies or values that you do, and that was something that weighed on me, like,
Yeah,
heavily.
yeah. Well, that's good stuff. We're going to come back a little bit later, probably at the end, and we're going to dive into how do you determine what's broken and what to go fix so that you can look at it the next thing. And a lot of people are surprised because they come in thinking maybe it's my resume that I need to fix when really it's not. Like for Justin, he's like, I'm going to be, he just talked to us a little bit about his transition from being a logistics officer with the big red one out into the world. And he's like, I love logistics. I'm going to go do that. It wasn't logistics that he loved. It was other aspects of the job that he didn't calibrate on. Therefore, he calibrated on the wrong thing. When got this great logistics job, but it was not aligned in any of the other ways. And he's like, whoa, wait a minute. That's not what I should have been looking for. So we'll do that at the end, kind of things. But if Justin, if you want to pull up maybe kind of the roadmap, we can kind of zoom out a little bit and show people, kind of what we try to do to help them, take stock of their career and where they want to go. Yeah. And Charo, I don't know if you're in a place where you can, but feel free to unmute and talk anytime, or type in the chat whatever you want to do. I understand if you're somewhere where you can't do either one of those things, but I want to invite you to do that either way.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Perfect.
Thank you for joining us.
Yes, absolutely. I was very interested. I'm actually seeking a new opportunity.
Oh, good.
20 plus years experience in diverse manufacturing. I'm a supply chain manager.
Oh, you and Justin can talk all day long, yeah?
Yeah, we could just share some stories, and we can have a little therapy session together. And
don't you guys start geeking about RFID on me on this call? But no, that's great, Charo. So before we jump into the path, are there some things that are broken in your career path right now that you want to fix?
Not necessarily. I've worked for really good companies and had co-workers. My husband's retired military. My son's in the military, so I don't
Wow.
need like Kevin health benefits because
Yeah.
I'm covered there.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure are.
I do want that life balance,
Okay.
and what I'm finding out is I can be very qualified for a job position, but not having those key words that the ATS software is looking for, you're just not getting any callbacks, and it's just
Yeah.
very frustrating.
Yep. Yesterday, I talked to somebody who had new client of ours who was frustrated because he has in the past 4 months done 400 job applications and has had one interview. And it was a phone interview that went nowhere. So I get it loud and clear. I want to encourage you, Charo. There are some things we can do to change that.
All
And
right,
we're gonna fix
excellent.
some of
I'm ready to hear what you all have to say.
Yeah.
them. Awesome.
Well, this stems from like similarly to who you're talking about there, Tyler, but we've seen, and I shared this story on our last workshop that we did, but we saw, we'll call it an ally for now, but we saw somebody who we know near and dear to your heart probably, right, that transitioning out of being a teacher. And we connect with lots of people on LinkedIn. If you guys aren't using LinkedIn, like you need to be on there for sure. And I think every single person here is on LinkedIn. But we saw that she was a transitioning teacher. She was looking for her next step. She was pretty early on in the process, and kind of linked up with her again later. And I saw her share that she had gotten a new job. That's always exciting, isn't it? Exciting to get a new job. Like we're always excited.
Yeah.
And then I learned a little bit more about her journey and what she did, and because she shared it out. And would you know that from 8 months from when she decided to make a change to when she landed her first opportunity, she applied 1,000 times in 8 months, 1,000 times. Guess how many interviews in this room? Like, we'll just quick poll. How many interviews do you think she had if for doing 1,000 applications in 8 months, by the way?
20,
Was that 20?
30?
20 to 30? Okay, she'd probably have been thrilled. She had 6 interviews.
Wow.
6 interviews, right? And now, good news is that after 6 interviews, 3 of those became a second round, and then eventually she did get one offer. I'm inclined to think, because I didn't get the background details at the end of this, I mean, she was certainly excited at the time. Like, I'm inclined to think that after all of that, she probably didn't land her dream job.
Right.
Right? She probably ended up settling for something, which is what we all do. That's what I did coming out of the military. Like, oh, I don't know. And you start to whittle things down, and it's hard to keep your eye on the whole picture. And then you end up taking something. And I'm sure the frustration was not being a teacher in that system anymore. It wasn't a fit for her, similar to how being in retail logistics wasn't a fit for me. And so you just try to get out of that. And then it's maybe not the fit. And then I ended up repeating that cycle. She's probably going to end up repeating that cycle of just trying to get something that's right. Whereas, like, what if we could just take a minute and like calibrate those systems and get them done the right way so that the next opportunity doesn't have some kind of hidden thing or red flag that we didn't see. That's what Tyler's talking about, right, Tyler? Am I like, I don't want to talk forever about it, but I think that we're all on the same page.
That's kind of it. And there are different things that are important to each person along the way, and it's important to not fixate on those, but to define those and do a good taking stock of what great can look like, because we shouldn't settle. I mean, we spend more time at work by a long shot than we do even with our loved ones. And so if that's going to be true, then if the payment is going to be that high, then what we get for that should also be really fulfilling. Otherwise, it just is not. It's not worth the time, effort, blood, sweat, and tears that we put into it. So getting those things to match is super important, and we've got a plan for it. So what Justin's got in front of us on the screen right now is what we lovingly call our roadmap. If you're in product, you know that the first thing that you do is you come up with a product roadmap. You figure out what you've got now and where you're headed in the future, so that all of your efforts are crystallized on that. A giant in the field a long time ago, probably about 40 years ago, said, begin with the end in mind. And that's what we're going to do. So with the career path, what we're going to do is we're going to think about, what does it look like? What does my apex job look like? And the apex job is like, what's the top of what I'm going to do? And I'm not talking about climbing the corporate ladder to get to a CEO level necessarily, but like, what's the ideal role where I'm fully using my leadership to the level that I want to? Maybe I want to lead a large team. Maybe I want to lead a small team. Maybe I don't want to lead anybody at all. Maybe I want to get super technical, or maybe I want to get away from technical and get in more into the business side of things. Whatever that apex job is, before we jump into legacy life, which is the giving back process of not quite retirement. I don't really believe in retirement. I'm a Christian, and I don't see retirement anywhere in the Bible. And so I just don't believe in retirement. I believe that what we do is we stop having to make money and we start getting into something where legacy is going to become much more important than income or driving things or gaining things. And so it becomes a giving back process of joining boards and being a mentor and stuff like that. So if that's where we're headed, then what steps can we take to get on that path? And do we know that the path that we're on right now is going to get us to the next step and to the next level? Or if we know for a fact that it's not going to get us where we need to go, we need to have that compass, and we need to understand, I need to pivot towards that goal. Otherwise, I'll never get there. If you're trying to get to Chicago and you are on a bus to Atlanta, it's going to be a long, long ride before you get to Chicago. You got to get off that bus and get on one that's headed in the right direction. Yeah.
Yep.
Cool. All right. We're going to ask some questions right now about where you are, and we want you to jump in. And Charo and Kevin, I think Kevin, we've already done this, but let's do it again with your current job, right? And what we're going to do is we're going to do an assessment, and this is going to help us focus on what things we need to fix. We're very, Justin coming out of logistics in the military, and myself coming out of technical recruiting. I want to know what to fix before we go running around and spending a lot of effort trying to fix things. And so there's 4 things. Unfortunately, they all rhyme. I'm sorry, it's kind of hokey. I used to be an English teacher, so just cut me a little slack. The first one's thrill. And thrill is the idea of how much you love the job. Oh, I love that, Kevin. It's a 10 on thrill. Holy cow. That was a quick answer and a very awesome.
I think that 10 was for how many interviews did our case study have from the 1,000 applications.
All right.
But Kevin, if it is a 10, that's awesome. Right?
I'm scrolled up, and it was very fast too, so I didn't even get the question out. So maybe that has nothing to do with it. So on a scale of 1 to 10, where are you in thrill? And again, a 10 is whistle zippity doo dah. I can't believe I'm doing this. I'm getting paid to do this. I would do this for free. Don't tell anybody. But this is awesome job. I'm so excited to do this every day. I'm going to get there early. I'm going to stay late because I want to. I'm going to think about it. I'm going to give my intellectual property to it. This is awesome. A 1 is, I don't care that I don't have another job. I'm quitting this one. This is so bad. I go in there and this is not at all what I want to do. So give me a score right now on your current job, or Charo, your last job, about thrill level. Kevin, 8. That's not bad at all.
10. I was very happy at my last job.
Awesome.
Wow,
what was your last
excitement.
job? So what was your company, Charo?
It was a $25 million company that worked for OEM, automotive industry.
Automotive?
And I had a great team and great, but there was some cuts done by the board of directors to cut costs, and my position was eliminated.
That's
I love my job.
That's, man, when you lose something that's good, maybe what the crystallization is going to be, how do you get that again? How do you define that in the interview process? How do you find that in the finding process? Same with you, Kevin. If you just simply need to fix that that problem, then earlier on in the process, we need to know, hey, listen, what do the benefits look like? And am I going to be able to take care of what I need to take care of on this particular thing? So awesome. So an 8 and a 10, great job. Now the skill is going to tell us, where am I going to be doing my learning? Where am I going to go on to LinkedIn Learning and get a new certification? Am I going to have to pay out a little bit of money to go get a project management certification? Do I need any certifications or those kinds of things? Do I need further education? Do I just need to tool up? But the skill level is using your favorite skills, not using your low-level skills, even if you're good at them, but offsourcing those, automating those, delegating those. And then a 10 in the skill area is stretch goals, right? Learning things that are new. So let me ask this question before you give me a score on this one. Kevin, what was the last thing that you learned that you were really excited about? And I don't care whether it was work related or some other kind of thing. What was the last thing you learned that you were really excited about?
Started playing disc golf. That's been really
Disc golf.
Yeah.
Awesome. So you've got a driver and you've got the little putters. I was shocked to know that there's more than one disc that you use for a particular shot, kind of like you do in golf. Yeah.
Yep.
Are you good?
Not yet.
All right. So So you learned it. How did you learn it?
One of my friends back home introduced me into it over the summer while I was laid off.
Awesome. And then you just went out and played?
Yeah, it's very popular here in Austin.
Yeah, it
Austin's
is.
like the number
There's
two.
one right over here in Georgetown. There's a disc golf right along the San Gabriel River over here. It's a beautiful little course.
Yep, Rivery Park. I'm actually going to be playing there next Thursday.
Oh, that's awesome. Sweet. So you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yep.
You know, so that's a kind of a fun thing. If you think about the skills that it took to learn that, they're probably going to overlap a lot with the things that you like to do at work. Can you think of a couple of overlap skills between disc golf and your work that you do, Kevin? And by the way, for the crowd, what's an appropriate title? What's your title right now? What do you do?
I'm a senior manager of DevOps and Site Reliability Engineering.
Yeah, cool. So what's the
Uh,
crossover between DevOps and disc golf?
I would say the approach I took to how I measured my improvement and how I tackled kind of my training for it to improve. The PDGA has a number rating system, and you get rated on every round. So I participate in a lot of tournaments so that I get these stats from them.
Yeah.
And I chart it out, and
Is that kind of like a handicap in golf?
it's very similar. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Based on your rating, you can be eligible or ineligible for certain divisions, amateur divisions.
Awesome. And I can see, even the words you used, measure, right? System, association. Those are all things that you have to have in DevOps because you're doing it for the whole company, right? You're making sure that code is doing what it's supposed to be doing, and that the cyber side of it is the cybersecurity side is that there's no holes in anything, there's no surprises. Love it. So, so what we're going to do is we're going to rate our last company or our current role rather, not company, role, for how well it's using the skills that you love, learning new things, and delegating or automating off the stuff you don't want to do. 1 to 10, go.
8.
8, 10, Kevin. Oh man, it's gonna be hard to find another job. I'm wondering. Well, with an 8 and a 10, you're doing pretty darn well, and with a 10 and an 8, you're doing pretty well, Charo. Again, awesome. The next one is going to be. I think I've got these in the wrong order, but maybe you've got them in the right order. Yeah, fulfill. So I was hoping to do this one last because it's the tide that raises all boats. Fulfill, but it's also, isn't it, Justin? Isn't this the last one that people think about in their job, in their job
I
search?
think just overall what I've seen over the last 4 or 5 years since we've been doing this together, I'd say a majority of people, this is the catalyst for why they're looking for their next role is the fulfillment side.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, if you're like me, and that's what was following me in my career, and I was like, this isn't right. And it was all values and purpose led that was causing that pain. But then when you get into the world, it's so overwhelming. There's so many different jobs. Yeah. There's so much, and sometimes you feel like maybe you need to get something because you just want to get out of there. And so then you're just looking at it logistically. And so you tend to kind of forget that the reason you were looking for another role was the fulfillment side. But this is one that drug me down. I was probably always like a 1 or a 2 that was causing me to go to the next thing. I just didn't care about this, and I didn't match values. There was different, structures that I was part of that just wasn't right. And so it is a bedrock. And I think all of these areas are important. But if any one of them are not a 6 out of 10, then you're probably in the wrong position, or you need to do something about it to fix that at that area.
And I would say that, Justin, your experience is emblematic of most of the people who come through this program. So most of the people who come through a program or start to change their career trajectory, they know they need some tools, right? Everybody knows they need what? We need resume, right?
Everybody needs a resume. Everybody needs to update their LinkedIn profile.
You need a LinkedIn profile, right?
You need probably a cover letter.
Maybe for some interviewing. You probably need some help finding the jobs. All of those things are the tactical things that everybody knows they need. But the thing that is common for everybody is that getting another job will not solve your problem if it's the same job that you were leaving that you don't like, right? And so I don't think we have that problem with either Kevin or Charo in this particular call, but we want to make sure that the reason that you love that job, the thrill was so high, probably has a lot to do with some of the things that can be measured as long as you know that that's what needs to be measured. What we do is we give a little values survey, and it's usually the first time anybody has ever taken anything like that. We also give a personality survey, so we can do the operational things of like the stuff that you like to do, the things that you're good at, the things that you want to do, kind of over on the skill side. But much more important are the things, or intangible, I would say, are the values that you hold that need to be, at the very least, not challenged at your current job. They cannot be contradicted at your current job. Maybe they're not celebrated, but they cannot be contradicted, or you will not be happy. And so what we do is we identify those. So if you're going to be happy in your next job, in the fulfill section, there are values that you need to identify as being extremely important to you, that you have to interview them during the interview process to make sure that those values are going to be allowed to flourish for you. Otherwise, you will not be happy there. Can you think of one, Charo and Kevin, value that is important enough to you that you will not take a job if that value is not supported at the company or the role or the boss?
Like I said initially, I'm at a point in my career that life balance, I don't mind working a 10-hour day or a 12-hour day or traveling over the weekend. I mean, I've traveled through Asia, Europe as a supply chain manager. But I don't want it to be the habit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So work-life balance is important to you?
Excuse me?
Yeah, so work-life balance would be one of those things.
My time is valuable. I'm looking for a job now that is either local here in Austin or remote. I'm not relocating. I'm in Colorado. I don't want to travel to Kyle or Buda or downtown Austin. My time is valuable.
Awesome. Well, that is great, Charo. How about you, Kevin? Or is there a value that you hold dear that maybe in the past was compromised, that you're going to make sure that doesn't happen again, or one that you have at your current company, which they really support, which you're like, man, this is really important to me?
Yeah, I mean, I'll echo the work-life balance. Obviously, that's very important in today's labor market. But for me, again, it's the benefits and that eligibility, right? And who, I guess, what a company defines as a family. And if that doesn't align with my definition, that's kind of a deal breaker for me now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I think the last thing that you said is the closest thing to an actual value that you need to help define, right? So your value is family, and even the definition of family is super important to you. And so you're going to need to ask questions about that. You're going to need to find out not only the policies, but like what are the attitudes in and around family at your work? I mean, some companies are like, oh yeah, we've got great work-life balance, and they don't. A lot of companies will lie about that. A lot of them will lie about being family friendly, and it's like, great, when's the family picnic? We don't have one. You don't have a family picnic? No, we don't ever get together like that as a family. Okay, great. When does the executive board, get together and serve pancakes to everybody and invite outside family in to the campus to come check things out? Oh, we never do that. They're like, well, where's the family part? And so these are things that we can ask about as long as we're aware of them, and we can make them deal killers as well. And the next area, so any other thoughts about that, Justin?
Yeah, I would say, listen, you guys already see I went ahead and showed what the fourth area is, because I do want to respect you guys' time. We're going to keep this to an hour, we promise. But all of the areas matter. And I really want to stress that. But the reason that we have fulfill at the bottom is because it is kind of the foundation of the whole thing. Imagine in a world where maybe what you're doing is exciting, and maybe it's paying you good money, and maybe it's letting you use some of your best skills that you like to use. But if you had zero fulfillment in it, it's not sustainable. It's got to be there. It's got to be. We only get to do this life once, right? And it's actually and I think many of us already recognize that's a fairly limited time that you're going to spend in your professional life. And it is taking you away from some other things that might be very important to you. But shouldn't it be doing something that's actually very fulfilling and meaningful to you? That's why it's where it is. And that's I want to, that's the thing I want to stress. I think everybody gets that, but I just want to say, like, listen, this has got to be part of the puzzle. And if you don't make it part of the way you market and brand yourself and the way that you're doing your search, it's very unlikely that you're going to actually have it included at the job that in the company that you end up working with.
Exactly right. Well, that's awesome. Let's go on to the next one. The next one is is another thing that people know about, but it's not the number one thing. When I was a recruiter, making more money was not actually the number one indicator of whether I could recruit them out or not. It's the other things, but this is still important. The other thing that we find out is that without a coach, a lot of people undervalue themselves. A lot of people leave a lot of money on the table because they're just like, uh-oh, what if they pull the offer? What if they don't make the offer if I'm asking for too much money, or, those kinds of things. And they need somebody like me who's gone over thousands of offers. And I've only seen an offer pulled 4 times in my entire career. 4 times have I seen an offer that went out to somebody yanked, and only 1 time did it have anything to do with money. And it's because the person changed their number after the offer was made. They said, this is the number I need to make. It's like, great. Are you sure? Yep, that's the number I need to make. It came out and they go, I need to make more than that. And so the hiring manager was just like, nope, that's an integrity issue. It's not even about the money, Tyler. We could get there. I just don't like that. This person's going to be client facing. They're going to be part of the pre-sales thing. I don't like that at all. Move the goalpost at the final stages. I'm yanking the offer. I don't want this person to work for us. But that was the only time that it was like that. The other offers being pulled had to do with logistical things that are not there. So one of the things that we like to share with people is that we want to dream a little bit, and we want to provide value in terms of you getting getting what you're worth out there in the marketplace. And so what percent increase would you like to see as your Justin dropped off just a second ago? I'm letting him back in. But Charo and Kevin, what percentage increase would you like to see in your next job?
I'm not looking for a percentage increase in my next job. As you mentioned before, the financial aspect is not all of it for me. Mm-hmm. It's just the whole package. I'm pretty senior. I'm not a young spring chicken. I don't want a company where I only have 1 week vacation.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I'd say it's the balance that's really the increase, right? It's not so much the money. It's more of like having the flexibility to do what you want to do.
Right. So in my last job, that was one of my conditions. I wanted 3 weeks vacation starting with, and they were fine with that.
Yeah.
So it's not all the money for me.
I love it.
It's other things, and I work with suppliers, and I want to be able to go and meet them and travel, because you have to build that rapport. So when I interviewed with companies, says, oh, there's no travel involved. There's no travel involved with a supply chain manager. I don't want that job.
Got it. That makes sense. Well, awesome. And so when we look at those kinds of things, what was your score? If you add up all 4 of those, Charo, what was your score out of 40?
I would give most of them an 8.
So 32 out of 40. That's a pretty darn good score. All we got to do then is duplicate that in the hiring process. We have to define it, we have to go after it, and then we have to validate it during the interview process, right?
Yeah.
Great. Awesome. Kevin, what about yours? What was your score out of 40 with your current role?
29.
Okay. A lot of room for improvement. Was most of the fall off on Bill? I didn't see your number for Bill.
No, most of the fallout was on the fulfill. Right, because of the benefits issue.
Mm-hmm. Just didn't feel like your values were aligned with their values.
Yeah, I would put a 7 on the.
Let me ask you a tough question, Kevin. Since we're already engaged and we've already had some conversations, do you think you could have found that out in the interview process?
I probably could have. I didn't even know to ask. Like you said earlier, archaic is how I viewed it when I found out. Yeah. I didn't expect it in this day and age.
Right. Yeah, that's surprising. Is what it is. So what we're going to do then, Kevin, is we're going to make sure that those types of things are going to be part of each interview that you have. So let's say you're interviewing your boss to be. You want to see expressions of those values, and just ask them straight out. Hey, if you're building a team here, Mr. Boss Man or Miss Boss Woman, what would you say would be the defining values of a high functioning team? And if they stumble on that, they are not a great leader, right? They haven't thought about the type of team that they want to build and what it looks like when it's functioning well. And you can poke at that, and you can get to those kinds of things of going, well, you know, how would you define work-life balance? That's a good one for you, Charo, to ask. How do you define that? Is it just number of hours? Is it number of vacation hours? Because that's not work-life balance either. Because if they give you 3 weeks of vacation, but every other week you're working 75 hours, you know, and they're calling you in the middle of the night for things that are broken, that's not good work-life balance, right? And so having them define it along the way, now we know some things that are going to be deal breakers, and we can get ahead of those things. And maybe we just turn down a job that doesn't hit those die on a hill type of things. So that's kind of where we start. And each of those 4 things that we looked at, we've developed systems to identify those, clarify those, define those, and then go after those in our next job, or fix those, as the case may be. All right, Justin, where do we go from here?
Well, the thing is how do we do that? Right,
Yeah.
now that you know what 4 components are important, what do you do about it? Right. So
Yeah.
that's the next step, really.
Yeah. Well, the good news is, do you want to throw up the map real quick?
Yeah,
And,
I'm trying to get it back on it. So I got kicked out before, so I'm trying to get it back up here.
I'll do it. I'll share it on mine. Give me 2 seconds, everybody, to share this particular screen over here. And I'm going to roll down to this little map right here. I'm going to put it on slideshow. Oops.
Yeah, but I got kicked. I got an internet flicker that kicked me out before. So
Okay. Well, cool. Are you
There
guys
it is.
seeing it? Are you guys seeing it?
Good to go.
Yeah, I'm looking at. Sorry, you got to see the side of my head because I've got a wonky.
So I'll preface this and I'll let you go through the system here, Tyler. But I'll say, listen, many times what we see when someone's looking for their next role, be it they're looking for it out of they're being forced to look for it, or they're just ready for the next thing. Maybe they're like, you know, like what I was going through. It's like, man, this just isn't a fit and I want something better. Our natural tendencies are to do the things that we know, right? Like, let's put together a resume, let me get some applications in, let me start putting them out there, put some feelers out. And you may or may not get good responses. As Charles I highlighted, right? The ATSs are getting more and more complex to break through to. But there's always something that's kind of missing. And so what we see is that you're going to get back more from what the messaging that you're putting in. Something's kind of coming up over top of this, Tyler. It looks like.
Yeah. I was just moving it over to a different screen. Are you guys still
Oh, okay.
It's
just
loading right now.
Says loading. You're back at you're at a different page now, but it's okay. What we want to see instead of, hey, let's just do more of what we were all doing, because it's the natural tendency is to think, oh, well, if I put more applications in, if I put more of this, or if I, you know, create more tweaks to my resume, it's gonna work. What we see is like, hey, there's actually a better process to this, is that we need to change the message that we're advertising. And that's where we go back in here. And it starts for us is what we call, we need to take a look at the foundation, right? So Tyler, I'll let you take it from there.
Yeah, and a lot of people just don't know. They go, I'm a this kind of person, but unfortunately, it ends up sounding a lot like office bingo, and some of those words that are absolutely useless on our resumes that we like to put on there is like passionate. There's nobody who's not passionate about something, right? You know, other words that are on there as like known for or proven ability. You know, all these little resume-ish type of words that we never use in regular life, we stick them on our resume, but they don't say anything. They are not unique identifiers about who you are and what you do well. So, Kevin, since we've gone through it before, in the insights section, you can see over there the kind of the second step under foundation. Under there, we give 3 of these inventories. One of them is a personality, one of them is values, and one of them is EIQ. Kevin, can you recite your 6 cardinal traits from the GPP?
No, it was a long time ago. I'm sorry.
Okay. All right, I'm going to go get them for you. I'm going to go find them. These are got to be at the heart of what you're doing when you're showing somebody what you can do. It's not all skill based, okay? It's not all DevOpsy, cyber security kinds of things. What it is all about making sure that they know this is your special sauce about how you do those things and the underlying why of how you do things. I'm sorry, I'm looking over on another screen and it's just spinning right now. I was going to pull up your things. And what we do is we go back and we look at those, Kevin, and then we look at our resume and go, would anybody who's reading my resume be able to divine those 6 things? So just off the top of your head, what would you say is a defining trait of yours? What's a good special sauce, unique trait that you have?
Really good at long-term planning.
Love it. Long-term planning. So not just seeing the fix of this particular, check-in system. We just brought in Chef or Puppet or something like that. Not just, doing the check-in piece, but going, hey, long-term, if we do these things, this is what great looks like. Yeah. And are you able to communicate that to other teams and stakeholders?
Yeah, I think that's probably why I've been pretty successful in my career so far.
That's a superpower, right? It's not only a trait, but you've used that over time and you've honed that into something that you can bring right out of the box to a new employer, and it's something they want. We call that a superpower. And so now I'm going to ask you, how well does your resume point to that superpower?
I think probably fairly well.
Good, 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 good,
I've got a lot of evidence of that throughout my career.
good. The next step we do after getting the trait in our resume is something that we go on to the next phase, and we'll talk about that in just a second. Charo, is there a trait that you've got that is not on your resume right now? It's not part of your LinkedIn profile that people need to know about. That is a defining characteristic that differentiates you from the competition?
I think it's on my resume, my LinkedIn profile. I'm a great communicator. I've lived all around the world. Being able to talk, negotiate, creates a good rapport with suppliers. So it's on my profile. I don't think there's anything hidden that I have not.
Awesome. Well, let me make a suggestion then. Communicator, great communication skills is on everybody's resume. It's ubiquitous. It's on every resume ever written by anybody who's a human being who can fog a mirror. But negotiator, that's a differentiator. And so you want to lean heavier into negotiating than you do into communicating. You see what I mean? That's
Yes.
a big differentiator. Everybody says that they can do that, but you are going to now take the next step into branding, and you're going to turn that into a story. And that's what you're going to learn how to do next. Is you're going to learn how to take that personality trait that you've got, that skill that you've turned into a skill, which used over time becomes a superpower. That's not enough. Now you got to tell a story about it. And that's what we learn how to do in branding, right? Then once we've done that, we learn how to get that into your resume, into your LinkedIn profile, into your communication, and we go out and we start connecting. We start going out and finding out people who are going to help us along the way. You see that in phase 2 of phase 3, rather, when we get into connecting, we're going out and we're really finding jobs that are going to do that are going to use those skills. We learn how to do an elevator speech and an introductory email and some networking, where people are looking for us for the reasons that we're looking for that job. Same thing. We're going to match those things together. Then we're going to go out and we're going to find, we're going to communicate that properly in the impact stage of, we've got it under communicator over there, but really the communicator / impact stage is going to be when we turn that into a silver bullet interview. A silver bullet is our convention. It's a little nomenclature, but just think of it as storytelling. And we turn our interview less in from a task-based, I can do that, I can do that, I can do that, to, hey, let me tell you a story. And then they get the flavor for how you operate, what your values are, what your what your mental capacity is, what your organizational skills are, how do you lead, all of those things come together in your stories. And then that drives up your value into the negotiating piece of it. And we help you turn that negotiation into exactly what you need it to be. For you, Kevin, we're going to make sure that the benefits that you need are part of that package. For you, Charo, we make sure that the vacation time is exactly what it needs to be, and then we just drive up the value of that for two reasons. Number one is that that's the starting point where all of your bonuses and all of your ongoing raises are going to be from. So it's very important to get the initiating point right, because most HR groups do not like double-digit increases. They just don't like them unless you're going to another level. So we're looking at a 4 or 5% for high performers each year. So if that's all we're going to get from year over year, then we need to maximize the big jump, which is from here to the next one. So Charo, even if it's not a defining characteristic for your next job, that's what we're going to do. We're going to help you get that increase as much as possible, because the iterative increases are going to be smaller over time, and everything is going to be impacted by that initial number. So we'll help you get that number as high as possible. And then we'll show you how to start the job so that you are the person that you sold to them and they're coming to you for the right reasons. Yeah, so that's the process right there. What do you guys think? Anything on here kind of resonate with you, Charo?
Yeah, there's a lot of things here. Your LinkedIn profile, the amount of connections that you have, your silver bullets, there's a lot of things here that I'd be trying to do.
Awesome. Well, that's what we do, Kevin. You've seen this before, and you've engaged with it. What parts do you find are particularly valuable as you think about changing over from this new job to another new job that's going to get you what you need? Which pieces of this were particularly helpful to you?
Yeah, I think a lot of this helped me to get the job I got here.
Really?
But I'm looking,
That's great to hear.
I'm looking forward to learning more about the negotiator, and trying to maximize my offer for the next job.
Awesome. We'll just book a call.
The negotiator, Kevin, for you will be very important to make sure that you're hyper aware of that part of it, so that way you can ensure that some of those things that you didn't know were in there, that we make sure that we're very clear about them in the negotiation phase, right? But sometimes they don't necessarily need, but just being aware of it so that you know to ask or whatever will be the thing that's going to be very, very helpful to you.
Awesome. Well, we're kind of coming into the end stretch of this, Justin. So give me a little bit about something that they can kind of look forward to and take from this call to really drive. Kevin's already kind of engaged with us a little bit. Manuel has engaged with us a little bit before. Welcome, Manuel. And then Charo, this might be the first time that we're kind of talking with you. Kind of give them something to think about, Justin, as we move forward.
I think the key thing, everybody, if I can, we would love to open up for some Q&A for the final few minutes of this call. If you guys have something specific that we can help address for you, that would be, we're more than happy to do that. And then we'll get you guys on your way for your Friday, and we hope that you have a great weekend. But I just want to encourage all of you that the point of this workshop is not, or the point of this training that we're doing here is not just to share the information. Information alone is not enough. So you kind of have two choices. You can continue to go and do what you have been doing, or you can take action and try something a little bit different. What's that definition, right, of insanity, Tyler, right? Doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result.
Right.
If you're not getting the results that you want, that means there needs to be some kind of change. And you could go and continue to do that on your own, or you could reach out and get some help and get the advice and the engagement that you need with somebody who knows what it is. So I encourage all of you, if this is something that you know that would help you to get to the next steps, I encourage you to take those next steps. If you already have access to book a call, you should do it. I've messaged everybody already. If you would like some more info, we would be happy to hop on a one-on-one conversation with you to see what the right next step for you to take is, and we can give you some more info if you'd like to see if we could help you directly.
Oops.
Sounds good.
Go ahead. Charo?
But no pressure to do that. If this has been helpful to you, then we're excited for that. So
Yeah.
anyway, let's open up for Q&A while Tyler's putting in whatever he's putting in the chat. Any specific questions that we can help answer, or something that you're seeing that you're not sure what to do about it?
No, I'm good.
Good. Okay. So we've done a great job. All right. Good deal. If we could, let's start with, let's end our call with some wins. What's a big takeaway that you're going to take from this call, and how are you going to be applying it going forward?
Review my resume for some more powering skills. Change where it says great communicator, to great negotiator. Looking for other places where that might make a difference.
Awesome. Good deal. Cool. All right, guys. Well, let's see. Manuel, I know you kind of joined us a little bit later. And Kevin, what's your big takeaway from the call?
There's a lot of steps here that I need to get back acquainted with to get back on the job search again. I'm looking forward to working with you all again in the near future.
Me too.
Cool.
It's good to see you again, Kevin. Hey, Manuel, you just joined in. Are you in a place where you can unmute and say hi?
Or maybe not.
Yes. How are you doing?
Hey, nice to hear from you again as well.
Nice to see you. Hear from you too.
Well, listen, I put in the chat a calendar link, so you can go back and find time on Justin's calendar or my calendar to extend this conversation. There's no charge to do so. Kevin, I've given you a link as well, and offline. And Manuel, I think I've given you a link as well, but you can use this one as well. And then Charo, if you're interested in continuing the conversation, we would love to speak with you one-on-one. There's no charge to do so. Just kind of take this and go, okay, how do we turn this into a plan that's going to work for you? And then, show you what's available if you wanted to get some help along the way and engage with coaching.
Okay, I'll do that.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, guys. Well, listen, have a happy Friday. We appreciate you participating, and we will be in touch, and just be on the lookout and make sure that you're connected to Tyler and or myself, and you'll be seeing some more of these trainings and some different things we'll be putting out there soon. So, but other than that, we look forward to scheduling your one-on-one calls.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you. Take care, everybody.